Hi, so I'm Taryn Sydow, and I'd like to introduce you to our podcast, Pick 3 Cards. And to do that, I'm going to take you through a little bit of the story of these cards and where they come from, and tell you a little bit about me and then how you can use these cards. So, my spiritual journey started a few years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. And I come from quite a corporate background and a sort of very left brain kind of world. And as I tell you my story, it'll unfold into how random it was that I came across this sort of work that I now do. And I was going through quite a lot of personal growth and personal transformation. And as I was working with many teachers and healers myself, I kept getting the message around surrender. The idea of surrender was something I had never explored. It wasn't a word that had even really been in my consciousness, but this was a word that kept dropping into me. Every time I meditated, there was surrender, surrender, surrender. And at that point in my life, surrender felt to me like really giving up. What I've subsequently learned is surrender was a lot more to do with embracing and allowing myself to become who I was. And as I started on this journey of surrender, one of the things every time I meditated, as I was asked to please start drawing the cards, this would be the message, the inspiration, the idea that would drop in. And I had no idea what that was about. And of course, which is testament to the path I've walked, I resisted the idea. And I ended up on a silent retreat. And on the silent retreat, it was the kind of silent retreat where you could take your own sort of art stuff or whatever it is with you. And I ended up with some paper and some pencils there. And by the Saturday afternoon, I had got so tired of this message going through my mind of draw the cards that I eventually sat down under a tree, cut out a piece of paper, and literally started drawing a card. And the first card appeared, which is this one. And the card was, it's time to start creating the life you want to live. And really, this started the most miraculous journey for me. I had no idea what to do with this card. It was just really this very pretty thing with a message that had dropped in. And I sat there and I had this card. Now, what must I do with that? And I didn't do anything. I put it away. And true to form, more cards started just flowing. There were times in my life where there was one card that I would just sit and draw randomly whilst I was sitting in front of the television. And then there'd be times where I'd be sitting outside and draw a number of cards. And this ultimately turned into a deck of cards that I had with all these messages. And the messages along the way had been the messages that I was learning from and essentially experiencing my own spiritual growth from. There was always this profound wisdom and insights that came forward for me as I was drawing the cards, and I never knew what I was going to draw or how I was going to draw it or what the message was. And so, as it turned out, I ended up having this whole deck of cards, not knowing what to do with them or why I even had them in the first place. This was about an 18-month journey. And through this process, I had started to explore the idea of me becoming a spiritual teacher and healer, which was a message that I had constantly been given. And the one day I was asked to please start doing readings for people. And I was like, I don't know what to do in a reading. And I got the message, use the cards. And so that's how I started doing readings. As I sat down and the first clients arrived and I picked 3 cards for them. And the 3 cards became messages that their guides and the spirit wanted to offer these people. And that's really translated into my business called Surrender to Your Soul, which is a healing business where I support clients in finding their own path and connecting back to their own truth and looking at what it is that's blocking them from living their own light. As the years or the months and years flowed from there, I started getting the internal nudges and the intuitive nudges to run workshops and trainings. And the very first workshops I ran, I didn't know what to focus on. And so I sat in meditation, and again, I was told, use the cards. And so that became the starting point of many of the workshops I ran. I would pick a card and run a workshop around that card. And there'd be this profound exercises and healings and teachings that came from it. And one day I was sitting and I was actually wanting to write my website. Instead of writing my website, I ended up writing an ebook called 7 Tips on How to Surrender to Your Soul. And those 7 tips on how to surrender to your soul essentially were all the messages that had come forward from all the cards that I had ever drawn. And the cards really aligned into 7 suits, 7 various ways, whether it's about embracing love or dealing with your fear or connecting to your spirit or whatever it is. And that ebook is available for free on my website, so I'll send you the link below. I now sit today in a very, very beautiful position where I've been doing this work for 3 or 4 years and have got more and more in tune with the information. And we're now very lucky to have created a more advanced set of the cards, where I've had a beautiful graphic designer come up and take the original messages and put together a beautiful set of cards that's now available for anybody to use. And so if you're looking for a way to connect to your own spirit, to find out how to move forward in your life, then you can get your very own set of cards on our website. The website is www.iamlightwalker.com/cards. And we've created this podcast in a way of giving you a space to find your own connection to your cards. And so we call it Pick 3 Cards, because essentially that's a wonderful way to get messages from Spirit. If you really don't want to pick 3 cards, and there's no rules, pick one if you want. But 3 cards give you the following. The first thing is, many people find the cards to give a past, present, future kind of story. What's been going on, what is the fact now, and what can you anticipate in the future? That's one version of looking at the 3 cards. When I do a weekly message from Spirit every Monday night, I pick 3 cards, and the 3 cards represent what needs to be paid attention to. And that would be the first card. What do you need to pay attention to? The second card is what support is available for you. And the third card is what opportunities exist. And this is a wonderful way to start working with the Spirit. What must I wake up to? How do I receive support? And what opportunities exist for me? And you can use the 3 cards in that way. But my gift to you is, use them however you want. Pick 3 cards in whichever way you want to, and know that you will always receive the message you need. You will always get the message that you most need to explore. And if you keep getting the same message, that's because you need that message. But it'll always resonate, and there'll be something there that's on offer for you. And so this podcast, you can either get your own set of cards on our website, and you can pick 3 cards from the deck and then go and listen to the podcast. Otherwise, you can randomly scroll through and just pick 3 messages. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long, and there's some profound guidance and a beautiful exercise, and you'll get a chance to connect more with your own spirit and start living in your own light, which I now know is what my calling is on this planet, is to support you in finding your way back to your light. The website is www.iamlightwalker.com/cards. You can also find me on Facebook at Taryn Sydow-Surrender to Your Soul, and I'm on all Instagram, Twitter. You can find me wherever, either through I Am Lightwalker or Taryn Sydow. Sending you lots of love. I hope you enjoy the cards. Namaste.
Get your very own deck of I Am Lightwalker cards straight from Taryn by visiting iamlightwalker.com/cards.